What's up, traders? If you love stock charts as much as I do, you're going to love this video because I'm going to be analyzing the chart on Palantir Technologies, PLTR, and I'm going to show you what could be a signal of a tremendous profit opportunity in the coming days, weeks, and even months ahead. My name is John McHugh. I am a former Wall Street analyst, hedge fund manager, and independent trader for over 25 years, and I've been making money consistently in the stock market over this period, primarily using stock charts. I am uniquely qualified because of that experience, but even more so because in the past year, I have posted some unique opportunities to profit in Palantir using the Palantir chart. For example, in July of last year, on X.com, I posted the cup and handle formation on Palantir on July 15th when the stock was $28 a share. Subsequently, Palantir went from 28 to 125 in less than 9 months. Now, you could say that's a lucky shot, but I've been taking these lucky shots consistently over the last 25 years. And the reason for this video is because I think we've spotted a similar profit opportunity in Palantir once again. So I'll be walking through the technical formation. I'll be breaking down some of the clues or some of the indications that are signaling that the big funds might be accumulating Palantir with plans to drive the stock significantly higher. So let's get right into it. Here's Palantir Technologies. Had a strong day today. Stock was up a little over 6%. We have come up right into this area of technical resistance and just broken through this little pocket of resistance that had a peak price of $98.14. We closed slightly above that. So we've broken above this resistance here after having a panic low just last week where big funds stepped up and started to buy Palantir when the markets were panicking because of the tariff talks. Now, why did price stop dropping there and start to rise? Well, that was the reason, because there was some resolution, or near-term resolution at least, some clarity, let's call it, on those tariff talks. But the reason we stopped dropping and started to bounce it in the 66, 67 range was because there was a clue back here that big institutional investors were stacked up in the 62 to 66 range, just waiting for price to drop down there where they would start buying again. So this was a technical support level on the daily chart, and that's exactly where Palantir bounced just last week. Once again, we have risen to this resistance level here. Dotted white line there is the high price point of that resistance level, and we just barely broke through that level midday today. So what is the clue here? What is the Palantir chart signaling? I'll tell you what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. So how have I read technical charts for the last 25 years? Well, I tell you what, at first I was drawing lines all over the chart. I would have moving average lines. I would have trend lines. I might have Fibonacci indicators, all sorts of indicators and lines drawn all over the chart, and what it largely did was create confusion. And through that confusion, it actually created more damage than it provided profit. So it actually made the trading get worse. So the way I look at charts now is a function of two things. One is support and resistance levels based on clues where these are not just lines drawn on a chart from a low point to a low point randomly. These are pockets of, they're indicators, price ranges where it looks like big funds, big mutual funds, hedge funds, billionaires, large traders stacked up, waiting patiently to buy in a level like this here. So that is a very strong support level there. This was not quite as strong a level there, but that is a clue of a resistance level. Price had reversed and started to drop there in late March after we had already dropped significantly from the parabolic rally that peaked out on February 18th. Once again, support level here in the 62 to 68 price range and just broken through this resistance level here. What could happen next? Well, let's try to play out a range of potential scenarios. And the scenarios that we're going to assess will be based on the clues that we see in the chart. What are the clues? The clues that we're looking for is where are the big funds stacked up trying to buy and trying to sell? So there's a clue that institutions are stacked up trying to buy down there. If they get another chance to buy in the 62 to 66 range, They'll probably step up. They probably wish they had bought more just last week, but didn't get much of a chance to buy in that price range. There was very few trades conducted in that price range, but price bounced off that level like a hand hitting a hot stove. We are now at this resistance level once again. Along the way up to that level, just at the end of last week, a new support level formed, and that support level is this price range right here in the 85 to 89 price range. So at this point, since we've broken through this resistance level, support levels and resistant levels are like magnets. So after breaking through this level, the next most likely target would be the next resistance level, which is in this range right here. So something in this range here could be potential resistance. So we could have a couple more points in upside action until we run into another pocket of potential resistance. One possible scenario would be a move something like this. We move up to that resistance level, pull back slightly, and continue higher and break through the next time, moving up to the next resistance level. So once again, up to the resistance, a pullback retest of maybe a shorter term support level, potentially, and actually ideally, would be a pullback to this nice looking support level right there in the 88, 89 range, and then continuing through there to the next resistance level, which would be the all-time highs in the 120 to 125 range. This is a possible scenario. This is not predicting, this is not forecasting, but it's taking the clues in the chart that are indicating. What are they indicating so far? Well, they're indicating that there was an incredible demand for Palantir stock early in the year. In February, late February, we hit all-time highs. Then the broad stock market started to sell off, and investors started selling all tech stocks. Good tech stocks, bad tech stocks, fast-growing tech stocks, slow-growing tech stocks, and actually started selling off the broad stock market. So Palantir was not immune to that broad selling in the stock market. What caused that sell-off, however? Was there a fundamental reason in Palantir? Did their growth slow? Did they have a problem with new product rollouts? Did their demand for their products slow? Well, let's go take a look at the forecast for Palantir right here. Over the last 90 days ago, the earnings forecast for Palantir was 48 cents, and it's now 55 cents. So while the stock has been dropping, earnings expectations have actually been rising. And then for the next year, something similar. Earnings expectations were 58 cents 90 days ago, and they're now 70 cents a share. So there is a disconnect between what the analysts expect for the future growth of Palantir, that has been increasing, while Palantir's stock has been decreasing. If analysts continue to expect that sales and profit growth is continuing and perhaps even accelerating at Palantir, eventually the stock is going to start heading higher. There are clues here that it already has started heading higher. Once again, we found very strong support in the low to mid 60s range. We've just today broken through this resistance level here in the 98 price range. And a reasonable expectation would be to head to the next level of resistance in the 102, 105 up to 110 range. Maybe run into some resistance there. Perhaps pull back and consolidate slightly, either to a lower time frame support level somewhere around there, or perhaps even more promisingly, pull back to the 88 to 90 range, where I would expect there to be at least a tradable support level if it were to get to that price range. If price pulls back slightly, finds some resistance, pulls back slightly before getting to 88 and starts to head higher, that could be a potential buying signal. And any breakthrough, retest and breakthrough of this 102, 105 resistance level would be a good indicator that price is moving up to the next resistance level, which would be a retest of all-time highs in the 120 to 125 price range. So that is a brief technical review of Palantir Technologies. This video has been solely for educational purposes. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing in this video is financial advice. These are not predictions. This is simply an assessment of the technical pattern and one potential scenario of how price could potentially play out over the coming days and weeks ahead. Once again, not a forecast, just a potential range of scenarios. What else is possible? Could it drop and go right through that level if there is new uncertainty about tariffs, or a broad range of broad market conditions could change, which would put pressure on all stocks, Palantir included. So a trader were to get a chance to buy in the 88 price range, I would definitely be having a protective stop just below that support level in case the market were to roll back over and all stocks to be sold off again. So when we're trading, we'll be taking a little bit of risk for a lot of reward potential. If price were to pull back in the 88 price range, you could take somewhere in the range of $3.50 worth of risk with a stop just below the bottom part of that range. $3 worth of risk for $35 worth of reward potential. That is a 10-to-1 reward to risk setup. So that particular trade, if you were to enter, if price were to retrace back to that level, and you had a protective stop just below there, you would be taking $3 worth of risk, and a price target of all-time highs would be a potential reward of 10 times the risk you were willing to place on that trade. That's the way professional traders look at trades. I haven't placed a trade in a long, long time that I hadn't, before placing the trade, assessed reward potential of the trade several multiples of the amount of risk to take. That's the way professionals look at trades. That's not the way that novice looks at trades. What phrase am I not using? I'm not using some crazy price target or assessment of where I think the price is potentially going. I'm simply looking for clues in the charts that tell us where the institutions had stepped up to buy, where they're queued up trying to sell, and importantly, what is the balance between supply and demand in this chart? Do the buyers have more buying power than the sellers have selling power? So who's in control here? We have got a little bit of a tug of war. A breakout towards this resistance level would be an indicator of the start of a new uptrend, and it would also be telling us that the buyers have more buying power and they're overpowering the sellers. So these are the considerations. This is the assessment of the chart. A couple different scenarios. One scenario would be the white line here. The other scenario I kind of outlined with you verbally. Before placing a trade, instead of just making the assumption, like, my gut tells me it's going to go to here, or my gut thinks it's going to go there. Try something new. If you're new to trading, maybe think of a range of 3 different scenarios. A really positive scenario, which would be like this white line here. A more neutral scenario, which is we just chop and go sideways in between this level and that level. And then a more bearish scenario, which is the whole market starts to roll over again and head lower. The receding tide takes even the best boats down with it. So potentially in that scenario, maybe price could potentially go lower, but we would protect ourselves. If we were to take any trade in any one of those scenarios, we would have a protective stop just below our entry point and have a higher reward potential than the amount of risk we'd be willing to take. That is a wrap up of the assessment on Palantir Technologies technical formation. I hope you enjoyed this first video. I've posted thousands of charts since over the last 4 or 5 years on x.com. This is my first YouTube video describing in greater detail an assessment of one particular technical chart. In the future, I will hopefully be doing a different chart on a daily basis, and at the end of the week, or perhaps at the start of the week, be doing either a review of technical charts, more technical charts, or perhaps queuing up some good-looking charts for the start of the trading week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button if if you learned something from this video, or if you were provided an insight that you hadn't thought about before. Once again, this is purely for educational purposes, not investment advice. Thank you for watching. Good trading.